To be continued. 3 little words that hold the secret to the next great story. 3 words that will thrill you, confound you, give life to new possibilities. Every variation of To Be Continued is a promise of adventure, a promise of excitement, a promise of unseen wonders and unexplored worlds. A promise that every issue you read makes you a part of a never-ending journey, and behind every page there will be an unopened door waiting for you. This story to be continued at your local comic book shop today. Visit comicshoplocator.com today.
And here we are.
Hey, everybody.
Talking about John's oversized bottle of Perrier, which is bothering him quite a bit. I don't know why.
You guys know I always have something to drink up here because I can't shut up. This was the size that was at the store that was cold. Everything else was warm.
He's literally been moaning about this for the last 10 minutes of my life.
So it's like 2 quarts of this. No.
Never going to get those 10 minutes.
The Perrier isn't why I'm moaning. Batman again. Batman Day is done. And just the way like the Christmas in July is done, pack this up with that reindeer that shakes its head back and
Batman is
forth.
forever.
Oh
see what I did
God,
there?
I see what you did there.
Yeah. And tonight we have a special guest. Rockin' Robbie from Pop Culture Philosophers is joining us again tonight. Robbie, how you doing, buddy?
Oh, I'm doing great. I've never seen a grown man complain so much about having too much water, by the way.
Well, not only that, but also complaining about Batman. So going forward, I have made it my personal mission to make sure that I include something Batman related in every show that we have going forward. And Green Hornet out, because that is John's favorite character, out.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't get to make any decisions about the original art.
So
we had the Green Hornet original art on Friday. John claimed it, and I warned him like the last French fry at the bottom of the McDonald's bag.
That was it.
No more Green Hornet, but Batman is forever.
One of the people
again,
that
I
were
did it
in the
again.
room
See what I did there?
I did see what you did there. One of the people that was in the room messaged me like, dude, are you really claiming that? I'm like, yes. It's Green Hornet. What are you faking?
Dude, you claimed it so fast. I mean, Nick was still talking about it. And I'm like, Nick, John's claimed it. He goes, oh, really? I'm like, seriously? Did you just meet the man?
It's just like when we have like a black and white variant of like the Shadow or something. How many copies of this do we have? 3. No, we have 2. Because
so we got Fred in the house and our buddy Dave.
Hey, Dave, what's going on?
What's happening, buddy? Thanks for joining us tonight. So we're here with Rockin' Robbie and John. John, did you bring the mask?
I did not bring the mask this week. I didn't think there would be.
In honor of Robbie being here, you didn't bring the mask?
I don't think that's honoring him wearing that goofy Batman mask.
Robbie, what do you think?
I think it would have been a tremendous honor. I think it would have been great. And you would have needed every single ounce of that Perrier had you been wearing it.
So now we have no choice but to insist that John come in the entire Batman latex suit.
That's a whole lot of latex. I don't know if you got that in the budget here.
I don't know if you want to put a warning there for your viewers, Robbie. Just, this, be prepared, kind of like, the warnings they have on shows.
One of the shirts I grew out of was from Jurassic Park, and it said objects of mirror are larger than they appear. And I actually grew out of that shirt, which is like justice.
So, what do we want to do?
We'll embrace the suck and start with Batman because you're killing me.
Which one do you want to start with?
We're going to start with the Ken Haeser one because it's Ken Haeser.
So
Batman
you're
100.
You're trying to ease yourself into this?
Yeah, at least this will be. This one is just, man, even though I am not the biggest Batman fan, Ken Haeser just sort of makes everything better. It's like when they used to put cocaine in cough syrup. Like, oh, it's terrible, but oh, cool. Batman 100. This is the blank variant, signed and remarked by Ken Haeser. This thing is just absolutely.
So Batman 100, signed and remarked by Ken Haeser. Suggested retail of $89.99. Tonight we have it at 5-star at $50, and we have the 1. So I have a question. Were you really around when they had cocaine and Coca-Cola products?
I'm not quite that old, but I'm just at the end. My mother used to be fond of saying, "That's how you got here."
Oh, boom.
But,
Okay, and I have to say that it actually does explain a lot about you, John. Okay.
There you
So
go.
what do we got, Dave? Let's see. Any Jenny Frizen or Lucio Perillo on that rack tonight? Do we?
No, but
I don't think
we
we
have
do.
Lucio Perillo this Wednesday. He's doing
Yes.
Lucio Perillo is doing what? Is it Red Sonja or Vampirella cover this Wednesday?
I'm not sure which one.
Vampirella, maybe?
Oh, you mean for
Vampirella.
Yeah, for the
Yes.
comic book day,
Yes.
but I don't think we have anything. Well, actually, let me look real quick. I don't. Who did this? This is Fabiano Neves. Nope.
And we got Ron in the house. It's always good to see Ron because it's like kind of sign of life,
And we
proof of
don't.
life. We don't want anything to happen to Ron. He's always running at risk whenever he tunes us in. His wife's at home.
Yeah. And by the way, that Batman 100, that's the end of the Joker War. So that was a big oversized celebratory issue. It was really good. James Tynan's been doing good works there.
Yeah.
There's a new issue tomorrow of Batman, and like Rex said, Batman doesn't have enough love, so we got to make sure that we can pull more people in to know who Batman is. But
Thank you.
Thank you. Those Ken Haeser, that's beautiful. That's beautiful.
It is. I mean,
Ken Haeser's kind of like our boy. We love him. Everything.
Yeah,
he
it's one of the
does.
few things that John and I actually agree on outside of cheesesteaks. Is that Ken Haeser's work is absolutely phenomenal. The artwork that he puts in there. I mean, we have quite a few remarks tonight, all by Ken Haeser.
Yeah, I think they're all by Ken.
Yeah, something unique for everybody there. But what do you want to move to next? Well, I'll tell you what, Robbie. Did I send you the list? I sent you the list, didn't I?
Yeah.
You pick one.
Yeah, pick something.
You want me to pick one?
We want you to pick one.
All right. Well, how about that? We have that Deja Thoris, because I saw that Dave was asking about that one. So
I'll have Vanna pull it from the rack for you.
I know, right? Those of you who know me know I absolutely love this book. This is Warlord of Mars.
You absolutely love
Thoris,
Dynamite stuff. That's why we have you here.
That's true, it is. But even among Dynamite stuff, the DJ Thoris stuff, I know everybody talks about Vampirella, everybody talks about Red Sonja, Betty Page, and they should. But I think the sort of unsung heroine of the Dynamite characters is DJ Thoris.
Yeah.
And I am getting old because here we go. Warlord of Mars, Deja Thoris, number 19, high-end black and white, ultra-limited cover. Fabiano Neves, limited to 25.
Yeah,
so
there's 25 of these.
Suggested retail is $100. We have 5-star at $50, and we have the one tonight.
That's
and
nice.
You and I always talk about it, and I don't know your impression of it, Robbie, but when we see the black and white covers, the blood red covers, we've even seen some emerald green ones.
We've even had a couple emerald green ones.
Mostly line art. We really like it because it shows. I think in a sense, without the coloring, it brings out the art.
I think you mentioned it. The line art really steps to the forefront. Not to bash colorists or anything like that or the printing process.
But he's going to do it anyway.
No, I'm not. But I'm just saying that when you kind of strip that away and we do like a single cover or black and white, single color cover or black and white cover, there's nowhere for the artist to hide.
Right.
And what's his name mentioned that on Twitter? Walter Giovanni.
Right.
He said one of the things that's intimidating, so I asked him one day, I mean, you know how I am on Twitter, I just asked somebody. And I said to him, what's the toughest thing? And he said, these covers really make you be on your game. Because I think I had picked up a Red Sonja, Walter Giovanni black and white cover, and he said, you really, when you realize there's going to be a monochromatic cover or a single cover or whatever, you really have to sort of,
Well, I mean,
that line work needs to be tight.
You look at the variant, virgin covers, without the trade dress, and that's great because without the trade dress, you get the full image of the cover.
Yeah.
But I think this is somewhat different in the sense that with those variant covers, you still have the colorists and the inks and stuff, but this is very, very different because you don't have any color, which causes you to focus on the artwork, the lines itself. I mean, what's your impression, Robbie?
I love stuff like that. I remember reading the Marvel used to do those rough cuts in the 90s, and there was one of it was the John Romita Jr. Thor #1, and then one of the George Perez Avengers #1. And I remember just pouring through those and seeing it like without inking, without the coloring. And of course, coloring nowadays adds a lot more than it did back in the day. And a lot of artists, I've talked to some colorists, and one in particular is a friend of mine, and he always tells me that a lot of artists sometimes bother him because it seems like they're taking shortcuts and they're letting him make the decisions to make it, provide depth and things like that. But yeah, when you have tight pencils like that, there's nothing better. It shows you the pure, raw energy of the actual line work. I freaking love it. And then on a cover like Deja Thor's, right? And I grew up loving the John Carter stuff, like reading the novels and things like that. So phenomenal.
What do you want to do next?
I think that we'll see what else we have tonight. But a book like this for $50, collectors, maybe, like your Spider Sense ought to perk up a little bit, because these books, there's only 25 printed. There won't be any more printed. For those people that sort of need a little nudge, like, I want to do it, but I'm waiting for something special. I talk to these people almost every week on social media. This is something special. This is not, we're always going to have slabbed books of some kind. All jokes aside, there'll always be something available from Batman, from Spider-Man, from the X-Men.
And he keeps pouring on the hate, Robbie.
No. It's okay. No, I mean, jokes are jokes, but I mean, literally, it's not
I know
like these things are going to disappear. Obviously, Deja Thoris, as much as I like the book, there's like a massive difference, just like the Green Hornet thing, right? How many people, while I did buy that, I claimed that almost immediately, I don't think it would have been a bidding war. You know what I mean? There's just not that many Green Hornet things.
I was going to refuse to recognize your claim.
When you claim it over.
There was the fear of that. I finally said, Nick, I think John claimed it. But no, I think you bring up a good point. And here's the thing. So even if you don't get this particular black and white ultra limited version of it, keep in mind, I mean, only 25 were ever published. We encourage you to visit your LCS, your local comic book shops. We always do that because as we always talk about, it's the foundation of the comic book
for sure.
World.
That's where it all starts.
Without your local retailers, where would we be? But beyond that, we would suggest if you're going there, pick up a copy of Deja Thoris. I think you're going to find it a tremendous read, and it certainly won't be time wasted.
People don't realize how rich the fabric of Mars is.
Yes.
In terms of Deja Thoris, John Carter. I'm old enough to remember when people thought Deja Thoris was just the girl you put on the cover to sell the book. And the last 40 years, last 20 years, thanks to Dynamite, this character has been fleshed out in ways where the book has been out long enough now, so I don't feel like it's a spoiler. But there's a scene, and I think it's issue 4 of Dynamite, and there's Deja Thoris with her, that kind of very cool Martian type of rifle, and John Carter is zombified. And she's like, I love you, but you got to die. And I think when you started with the character who used to be like a pinup girl, and now she's making the decision, I'm in love with this guy for like 100 years, but he's got to go because he's a zombie and he's going to bite other people. I think that's, she's looking at him through like the scope. And I'm like, when you get that kind of drama in a panel, that tells me she's a lot more than the girl on the cover.
Right. And here's something else to consider: how long ago, John Carter, the entire character and the universe, taking place there. How long ago it was written, and the fact that the imagination that went into it. I mean, it's an incredible source. From that perspective, there's so much.
Burroughs. I mean, exactly. He got around a little bit.
He did. But, very different from a Tarzan or, anything like that, in that it was something that I think the normal person didn't even conceive of, when he wrote it. Being, actually going to another planet, actually there being a civilization on another planet.
Well, it's more sophisticated. Tarzan is, let's be honest, right? People get lost in the jungle. They don't make it, but the kid does. The kid gets raised by apes. This is a story you can tell the origin of in, like a page or two, right? I read an article one time. Everything really does go back to Batman. Everyone talks about Batman's the longest origin story in comics history because it's always changing. It's always unfolding, right? Everyone thinks, oh, well, the bat came through the window, he fell through the cave, whatever. No. It never ends. It's just like Dick Tracy's Road Gallery. There's always one more person, right? Tarzan is like, okay, we get it. He's got a knife. The apes listen to him. He's fighting poachers. We're good to go, right? And I don't think anybody has a problem with that. Tarzan's wildly popular. Dynamite's published it. Other people have published it. John Carter is like, and I don't mean to sound snotty, but John Carter's for a more sophisticated audience. The whole thing of, he's a...
It's amazing, John. It still came out snotty.
It's a more sophisticated read.
Yes, I agree with you.
It's not just a guy punching someone in the face.
Yeah. Well, it's also about the political nature of the kingdoms and Mars and all that kind of stuff.
Exactly. It's cultural, it's political. There's social differences, you know what I mean? They kind of deal almost a little bit with like racism, the different native races of Barsoom or whatever. There's like a lot of there where, let's be honest, Tarzan gets in trouble, he does the yell, troop of apes come over, everybody gets there, it's beat, and then, we're kind of done with the story.
Right. No, I totally agree. Robbie, pick another one.
Well, I spotlighting that lesser known character of Batman once again. One of my favorite Batman runs ever is by Grant Morrison. And we got a Batman and Robin #1 signed by the artist Frank Quitely. I'm a huge fan of Frank's work, and he doesn't do a lot of appearances at all in the States, especially in today's world. So this is a good chance to get Frank Quitely to sign an iconic book, one of his most iconic covers he's ever done. This is Damian Wayne as Robin. This is Dick Grayson as Batman. This book was so fun and so imaginative. This is a steal right here.
No, absolutely, and I think you bring up a very good point that the lesser known character of Batman.
No, but what Robbie said is the truth, though. Yeah, sure, we see Batman in everything, right?
Yes.
But this is a creator that isn't out there a lot, and I don't mean this to sound to take it for granted, but there are creators that, pandemic notwithstanding, they're at every show. Everybody knows who they are, right? They kind of, you see them after a while, they know you on site if you keep seeing them. Yeah. And then there's those creators that are a little bit reclusive. Now, by reclusive, I don't mean Alan Moore in a tower casting spells at midnight, but, he's like a reclusive dude, especially the people from like the UK.
Right.
They're like a little bit more, on this side of like, the Rob Liefeld zone. And then there's,
the Rob
amazing Robbie how he does that.
I love that. The Rob
Batman fans, I think he bashed colorists. Okay, and now the entire island nation of the United Kingdom.
No,
wow! And we haven't even gotten to our first break yet, bro.
Yeah, right.
It's all down.
Very efficiently done.
No, I didn't.
So hold on. Let me get to the price.
Oh, go ahead.
You always say that. I didn't mean that. I'm no disrespect to, and then you can go ahead and fill in the blank, Robbie. Batman and Robin #1, signed by artist Frank Quitely. We have the one available tonight for $39.99, and it is, of course, hand signed. It comes with a certificate of authenticity, and is it limited? It is limited to what?
This is limited to 100. He signed 100 copies. This is 24 of 100. I don't know how many of these we have.
One.
You're getting this one if you buy it.
24 of 100.
And I got to tell you, just like the other book at $50. A Frank Quitely signature at $39.95. That's real good. That's real.
Now, if you claim this, John will have to give us 4 cents because I said $39.99 and you just said $39.95.
Thankfully, the budget is built in.
I'm actually going to need the 4 pennies before the show ends. I'm just saying.
$39.95. What is this, Walmart? You trying to drop the price? 2 cents cheaper.
You know what? I'm going to get really nuts on. Let's go $39.
Oh, Jesus.
That $1.99 will be on John tonight.
Oh, man. I see Amy getting ready to post your job on Monster.com. This can't be good.
I don't see that happening, brother. I don't think Nick has a problem with money coming out of your pocket.
I know, right? It always winds up coming out of his pocket somehow. Look at the sad look on his face.
You threw in for somebody else the last show. What was it?
Did.
$5.
Yeah,
right?
I picked up somebody's book. It was like a 3-book set. And part 3 was like $5, and I'm like, dude, just buy
I talked to accounting. That $5 check you wrote, it bounced. We're gonna need cash.
You bounce a $5 check.
Oh, we'll take Bitcoin. Let me tell you my Coinbase account. You can send it directly there.
Oh my
okay?
God.
And I don't deal in decimals or fractions, so I'll need one, if you don't mind.
One whole Bitcoin.
This is
Yes, sir.
something that's really cool.
See, he secretly loves Batman.
I don't,
See, look at
but
that.
what I do
look,
is
look at what he picked up.
the amount of people I have
Yeah,
that in my
yada,
DMs
yada,
on
yada.
Instagram, on Twitter, saying get to the slab stuff earlier. Okay.
All right, what do you got there, my friend?
I have Future State, the next Batman #1.
Nice. Okay.
I have a feeling the next Batman will be as overhyped as the last Batman, but this is a 9.8. Beautiful.
So all the Batman fans watching tonight, I just want to say that I disassociate myself with this man's comments on every level, especially as it pertains to Batman. So when you come with your torches and your pitchforks, please remember that's the one you want, not me. Okay, let me go.
To all the Batman fans out there, I'll say he's the Shadow with Dick Tracy's Villains Gallery. Let's be clear.
Again, this is the man you're looking for, not me. Okay.
That's a
right.
good one right there, though. That really is.
Future State, the next Batman, because you appreciate good comics, unlike someone else.
Next week
here.
it'll be you and Robbie
Okay.
here.
I'm just saying. Okay. Future State, the next Batman, #1, CGC graded 9.8. We have the one at 89.99. And since we have the one,
You're
if
getting
you
this
claim
one.
it, you're getting guaranteed 9.8.
And I'm
Nice.
just going to take a quick second and
To offend someone else?
no, well, yeah, I'm going to offend
Why don't you
everybody
save
here.
that for the next half hour?
No, there'll be more people offended in the next half hour. For the people who are like, you know what, I don't need to buy a slab book. I can buy a book and get it packed and shipped and graded and slabbed, on and on and on. Let me be clear. That is not an easy process, and it is not a cheap process. Not to mention, that book you think is going to be graded at a 9 is probably going to be graded at like a 6. And you're going to be upset. If you really want a slab book that's a 9, the easiest, most economical way to do it is there will be a link. JT puts a link in there, right? You click the link, you fill out the form, Rex sends your book. This is sort of like the most simplified process here. I have talked to people about they're trying to find package material and they're running down to FedEx before they close. They got to make the truck. CGC is, let's just say, behind. Last week we kind of bashed them a little bit.
Yeah, well, I mean, listen,
they're behind.
They're behind, and they're having staffing issues like everybody is.
I mean,
every business.
like I said, I have friends that sent books into March and April that they haven't gotten them back yet.
Yeah, I mean, I think Robbie, you've had some experience with them, being backed up as well this year, right?
Yeah, myself and customers of ours too. They're backed up. A lot of people during the pandemic, especially, they were digging through their collections. They were sending stuff in, and like you were talking about staffing issues and things like that. And to get a guaranteed 9.8 on this, because that DC and Warner Brothers, they are going to push the character of Jace Fox, and there may have been like a cameo, I think, at the end of Death Metal #7, but this is the first full appearance of Jace Fox as the next Batman. Nick Darrington on the artwork. It's beautiful. It's got a bunch of extra stories too. You're not going to see the inside of the book because you're buying a 9.8 so that you can have it preserved, right?
So go to your local comic shop and
get a reader's copy.
Get a reader's copy.
Get the reader's copy because Future State is sort of. We had this debate a little while back about what's DC's greatest crossover, and we've all sort of had these different ideas.
Right.
Guys in my and Nick generation usually kind of lean towards Crisis. However, Future State has a massive fan following. And you have to give them their credit. It's an incredible crossover. DC does crossovers. It's their thing. These sort of, it's 12 issues and then it spreads into another 50 books.
So JD, first of all, JD wanted to mention that the technical difficulties some people may have experienced is not on the producing end. That John and I are actually that pixelated, and I really like JD up until now. No, I'm kidding. Love JD, great producer. He also says, "Who is this Batman guy you're talking about? Never heard of him." Exactly, JD. Right? He needs more exposure. This is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Dynamite publishes the Bat. That's a good character.
You got to love a guy that's loyal. You do. Okay, I mean, the man loves Dynamite Comics. He actually pays me to be able to talk about Dynamite Comics. I charge him about $1 every time there's a Dynamite mention.
Nice.
So by the end of the year, I'll be able to retire. Okay, based on what John's giving me.
God forbid I have to go back to work.
And Dave mentioned that he could see the staff crying on the reflection of you handling the graded slab book because you're handling it. Let me say that that's not the reason that people are crying, Dave. They're crying because of all the mean things that John says about Batman. Okay, which is bringing them to tears, and because we all love Batman except for you.
Likes the Flash.
He does like the Flash. He does like.
And you kind of strike me with the baseball cap as like a Spider-Man guy, Batman guy.
Boy, I'm not sure how you got to that. That's quite elite, my friend. I'm not sure what my baseball cap has anything to do with.
One of the games we'll play at a con at like 2 a.m. when like we're all zoned out and can't sleep is people will walk by and we'll make up origins for them. Like we'll do the Sherlock thing, like based on how they're dressed or whatever. And my guess is we've never been right, like not even once.
Oh my Lord! Please tell me you guys are also drinking at that point in time.
Oh yeah. As you picked up the cup, what happens is if you buy a cup at the con, they don't really check the. If I spend $16 to buy a Spider-Man cup from a dealer, they don't really question too much what's in the cup. So in the first cup, it's probably root beer or something aromatic, and then as the day goes on, it's probably rum and Coke.
I wouldn't even wait that long. Okay.
You've been to a con. Yeah, you should. That should be your breakfast.
Are you kidding me? I'm swigging the Jack Daniels bottle.
I don't know if I've ever
right there on the convention room floor.
Once I actually started to make money, I could stay at a real hotel. I didn't have to like sleep in a rental car to go to a con. It never occurred to me to not have a Bloody Mary before I got to, especially massive cons.
Why would you assume that that's not okay?
Well, in the beginning, when I first got there, I was in my 20s. I was in another city. I didn't have 2 nickels to rub together practically.
Well, Bloody Mary is a breakfast drink. It's got tomato juice in it.
The last time I was in San Diego, I stayed at the Hilton. Most of the panels I wanted to see were at the Bayfront Hilton. So I just kind of went to the pool, put on my flip-flops. When the volunteers that I love at Comic-Con were like, you have to go here, I would turn around and show them my hotel badge and say, I'm actually a guest of this hotel, so I'm just going to walk through here and sit down. And they have a problem with that until hotel security comes over and says he's a guest of the hotel, he can sit down.
Dave says Batman stole all the small Perrier bottles from John's store.
He's not kidding, man. Look at what I'm stuck with.
He's got to stock them. All those satellite caves, he's got to stock them, right?
Robbie, do you see what I got to put up with? Do you see it?
No,
do you see it?
I see it. I see it.
You feel my pain?
Yeah, I feel it fully.
To let Rex recover.
Yes, we do. JD, I guess it's break time.
Yeah, Robbie, stay with us because Rex needs the emotional support.
Because there's going to be more Batman bashing before we're done.
That's what I'm here for.
We'll be back in 3 minutes. Take us to break, JT.
You are watching Minute to Skim It on the Experience, so hello. All right, we've got lots of books to review for you guys today. And Hannah just basically showed up just the number ones and showed them to me, and I was like, oh, we have
just for the indies.
Just for the indies, yeah. I was like, we have got a lot to do.
There's something for every imagination at your local comic shop. Visit ComicShopLocator.com to find a store near you.
To be continued. 3 little words that hold the secret to the next great story. 3 words that will thrill you, confound you, give life to new possibilities. Every variation of To Be Continued is a promise of adventure, a promise of excitement, a promise of unseen wonders and unexplored worlds. A promise that every issue you read makes you a part of a never-ending journey, and behind every page there will be an unopened door waiting for you. This story to be continued at your local comic book shop today. Visit ComicShopLocator.com today.
It's like, yeah, no.
We're talking about
We're
food
talking
that
about
John
food.
makes that he never brings me. He just talks about it. Okay, it's just,
How do you even know it's real then?
I believe him.
Posted pictures.
I believe him. He posts pictures. He knows every owner or manager of every local restaurant in town.
Okay.
I mean, literally.
Because I got a buddy who like takes pictures from he will pull a picture from online of an awesome looking steak and he'll post it on Facebook and just pretend that it's his. Like he won't say that he did it, but when people go, "That's amazing, I bet it tastes good," he won't say like that wasn't my steak. And it's
I agree with you. It does.
Let me say this. I did vet out John at first because, who knows, right? When I first met him. But then he just knows too much. Okay. There's like too much information coming from him. Like he's just describing me this burger he posted that this local kind of boutique supermarket, I guess that's what you call Rostelli's.
Yeah, I mean, they're sort of like it's almost like a half butcher, half market.
Yeah, I mean, they have a lot of great stuff, but they're really pricey. But he knows the owners there, and he's telling me stuff, and they wanted to take a picture of his burger and use it in their ads. That's for real.
They've done that before with other stuff I've done.
And he just showed me a picture of the burger. I mean, with his homemade pickle jalapenos, garlic pickle jalapenos that he put on top of the burger. I mean, I really got to start eating dinner before we do these things. This is getting ridiculous because this is, if it's not comic books, this is what we're talking about.
Does Nick not have pizza or Chinese food or something coming?
Who knows, dude? The last time the delivery guy stood in front of the camera.
The last time the guy standing in front of the camera was a trip. And I even said to him, "You're in front of the camera." Excuse me, you're in front of the camera.
I'm just laughing because of this high quality production we run here.
You're ordering pizza live, and the dude just walks in and stands in front of the camera. Is that what you're saying?
The pizza guy gets it. He made a couple of deliveries and he gets it. He realizes that we're doing this live stream, and
he sort of shoots over to the side a little bit. The new guy. I don't know what restaurant is that.
Oh, I think it's
Indian takeout, Chinese takeout, something.
The Happy Gardener.
He does.
The guy was on the phone, and then he's trying to get Nick to sign the credit card receipt and waiting for his tip, and the whole time he's standing right in front of where the camera is.
Camera. So people watching this just see this guy.
Well, yeah, you got a shot of the guy's butt, right?
Like he's
so we're sitting here, and John's like trying to politely tell him to get out of the way, and he's yakking on the phone, and I'm just sitting here cracking up.
It was.
You know what? That's half the fun of the show.
It's a low point for sure, but we embrace it.
Let's get to a book, and then I want to ask Robbie his thoughts on what's hot this week. So
okay, you know what?
What are we doing?
It wouldn't be a show if we didn't do something with Alex Ross. This is Battlestar Galactica number 4. I'm just going to hold it up there because it's Alex Ross. I shouldn't have to say anything.
Yeah, so
we'll
Battlestar Galactica.
400 quatloos.
Cubits. Battlestar Galactica #4, high-end Alex Ross, ultra limited cover, as you can see, no trade dress.
No trade dress, yeah.
So it's just a retail of $100, but this is going to be one of our perfect 10 reads at $10 tonight. We have the one available for $10. So if you
that means you have none.
Yeah, if you're an Alex Ross fan or a Battlestar Galactica fan or both.
Seriously, don't let me go home with this. Somebody else should actually pick this up, like a deserving person.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Alex doesn't like all his art at my house.
I don't think he cares that much, to be honest with you.
I know, right? He's going to look over his stacks of millions to see where my books are.
So, but you see the lifelike. I mean, it's almost like a photograph.
We talked about that. His art is this weird sort of blend of realism and, surrealism. It's just really hard to explain, but this is just one of his,
So
he has a way to make anything look good. I hate to say it, but he really does.
I mean,
he do a hamster on the wheel and go to a third print.
And to quote John, not to offend the rest of the creators out there, okay, but Alex Ross, the realism, it really kind of separates him, from the pack, if you will.
We talk about that. Most people have this experience the first time they've seen his art. They remember the first time they've seen his art because they're like, "What am I looking at?" And I talk about that all the time. You looked at the cover of something like Marvels or Astro City, and you're like, it takes your eyes a second, especially if, maybe you've been reading comics for a while, you're used to certain style, certain printing. You're trying to kind of zero in on what am I looking at here? And then you realize, oh my God, this guy's really that talented.
Yep. So Robbie, so if there's anybody that's watching that hasn't checked out Robbie's website or YouTube channel, you should definitely do so. He has great information.
Way better than ours.
Yeah, right. High quality production.
It's a real show.
The guy knows what he's doing.
I know.
And there will be no delivery guy standing in front of the camera either.
No, I keep my door locked. But
maybe we should do that. That's a theory we hadn't explored yet. But you should definitely check out his YouTube channel. Some great videos about what's upcoming. Reviews of not just comics, but anything you can think of that covers pop culture. Very informative. You've seen Robbie here with us. Very engaging guy, high energy. It's fun to watch him talk about, whatever it may be, whether it's a movie, a TV show, comics. So tell us, and JD, when you get a chance, if you could throw up the link to Robbie's YouTube channel, that would be great. But what do you see as being something that's hot this week?
Like coming up this week?
Coming up this week.
All right. Well, we got the second issue of King Spawn. That's definitely going to be hot. People are really into that. Todd McFarlane's expanding the Spawn line, so I'm excited for that one. We've got Vampirella 24 out this week, which is the one before the 25th issue, which is the big wedding. We just got the announcement for Vampirella Dracula Unholy, so that's something to look forward to. Moon Knight over at Marvel. I've been loving Moon Knight, so Moon Knight's definitely one to look into. Also, the Death of Doctor Strange is coming out this week. Trust me, I don't think they're going to keep him dead. He's got a movie coming out, so that would be a weird marketing strategy there.
Yeah,
but it would be very weird, right? And over at DC,
noticing that Moon Knight, right? That's because they're kind of pushing Moon Knight. I think Moon Knight appears one of the what ifs. Moon Knight is going to be Hulu or something.
Yeah.
So they decide that they're going to push a character, and they're all in shoving him to the front.
Yeah, and they got Jed McKay on it, and he's actually, I think, one of the better writers over at Marvel right now. I mean, they got a lot of great talent, of course, like everybody does. And then at DC, there's a new one. It's Aquaman: The Becoming. I am a huge Aquaman fan. This is mostly an Aqua Lad book, so I wasn't really looking forward to it, but I actually sat down and read it yesterday, and I really liked it. Very old school, fun, fresh, new, and hip, but a little bit old school too. So those are the ones I would be highlighting this week.
Awesome. All right, let's hit another book. You want to pick? You want Robbie to pick?
Robbie can pick.
Robbie,
I want to pick one. Let's go with that because, like I said, like Rex said, there's this little known character named Batman, but we got a Batman Beyond number 50 signed by legendary creator, the man who killed Superman, Dan Jurgens.
Dan Jurgens.
So I like to sign books. Those are the ones that I really I love meeting people, getting things signed. I just love that stuff. I love the whole jam.
Silver Signature series. I think they've only made, it's only 100 of these. I don't know how many we have, but this one's number 44.
We have two.
You have two?
So Batman Beyond number 50 by Dan Jurgens, as Robbie said, the man who killed
I
Superman.
think it's the final issue too.
Suggested retail of $49.99, but we have two tonight at this price. We're going to do for $19.99 the year Batman Beyond premiered. So,
Nice.
and this signed by legendary creator, Dan
Jurgens.
Jurgens, who has been around a while, that's for sure. And
You mean the Booster Gold guy did something else?
yes, he did. Can you believe it?
The Booster Gold guy, I like that. And the cool thing
We
is,
have someone on the channel who dresses like Booster Gold, and I love that passion. He gets in the suit, and he's just, I'm like,
And we're still trying to talk John into the Batman suit. We're working on
I
it.
told you, you don't have enough latex. Although, Kevin Smith might not need the Fat Man on Batman suit anymore. I might be
There
able
you
to
go.
squeeze into that.
one thing about this Batman Beyond is Batman Beyond's about to get hype again, right? Because they just did Batman Urban Legends last week, which featured like a story that Terry's on his own now. It featured the death of old man Bruce Wayne. Terry's going to be the new Batman that's leading into a new series. And with the popularity of this character with millennials and Zoomers even, it seems like I love Batman, the Bruce Wayne stuff, but I didn't get into Batman Beyond as much as some of my friends did. It is only a matter of time until Batman Beyond becomes a TV series, like live action or a movie, something like that. And Batman Beyond got a lot of rich history.
live action series or possibly even animated series, another one,
Right.
but like a bigger budget one for Batman Beyond. It seems like it's obvious, like it's a no-brainer that people are really into this.
And
Well,
who's to say
Batman
that
Beyond.
who's to say that the Michael Keaton, he's coming back in that Flash movie, he's playing
Yeah.
Batman. They say, who's not to say that they're not going to somehow tease that, right? Because what better older Batman to be in Batman Beyond if they did a movie than Michael Keaton,
I
right?
would agree. Yeah.
He would be perfect in this sort of with the black suit, and he's sitting at the console with the giant
Yeah.
dog.
The irony of life, just when the first Batman came out, everybody criticizing Michael Keaton and he's not going to be a good Batman. Everybody coming from his history of comedies, and they were great comedies like Gung Ho and
Multiplicity.
Johnny Dangerous,
what was the other one where
Mr. Mom.
Mr. Mom, yes. Mr. Mom,
Mom,
220,
yeah.
221, whatever it's
Juice.
I love Johnny Dangerously. We reviewed that last year on my channel. That's
I
a
love
fun
that movie.
That's
as
a
well.
great movie.
I mean, and when he did it, and I think everybody came out of the movie going, "Wow, he was really good."
Really good.
And now to have a nostalgia going back and all of that's forgotten. It's so funny. Terry Garr, that's right, JD. That was a great movie. That he's been in some classics. But all right, what should we do? Another remark, or should we do a vintage book? What do you think?
Maybe we should do a vintage book because we haven't
Let's do
done
a
one
vintage.
yet.
Let's do a vintage book.
This is Fantastic Four 41.
41.
I'm just going to leave this hang out here like this.
So, all right. So we have Fantastic Four number 41, and we have the one available for $130 with a presumed grade of 7.
Ooh, that's high grade for that time.
So, and as always, we only have one of these, and we try to get the vintage books as we get them and turn them around. I know we picked up some Star Trek Gold Keys.
I was going to say,
Yeah. So hopefully, we'll have those ready to put on the show sometime soon. And hopefully Robbie will be here, and then we can get into an in-depth conversation about Star Trek.
we can get into an in-depth discussion about Gold Key
we could do that as
if
well.
you get more Gold Key books, because Gold Key's premier character,
Ooh, good segue,
like
man.
that
I
segue,
like
huh?
that. That was awesome.
Dynamite did the Sovereigns, which was a great sort of, I guess we'll call it an homage to the Gold Key characters.
Right.
Gold Key was, a mix of original characters and licensed stuff. And I think most people remember the licensed stuff. Star Trek, Planet of the Apes, the kind of stuff, Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea, all those kind of sci-fi TV shows from the 60s and 70s.
Right.
Gold Key sort of had the Land of the Giants. However, a character that really just absolutely captured my imagination when I was a kid, I don't know if it was the white go-go boots, weird that the guy was in a miniskirt. Magnus Robot Fighter
Magnus Robot Fighter #1, the Midtown Comics variant edition with the variant cover. Suggested retail of $29.99, and we have 2 available, and it's our other Perfect 10 read at $10.
Nice.
I kind of have a sneaking suspicion this might be a Perfect 10 read. Funny story about this. After the amount of time I'd spent reading Dynamite, I began to get maybe too suspicious of certain creators being signed on. So Fred Van Lente comes on to do Magnus, and I'm not happy. And I'm immediately getting ready to email the publisher, who turned out to be Nick. And but I waited and read the work. And then afterwards, I was like, wow, this is amazing. And all the subsequent stuff that's come after it has just been great. Moral of the story, twofold, is, A, don't be mean, email the publisher, because it doesn't work out. Well, it did for me. It worked out good for me, but not anybody else. And second, you really have to sometimes give something this, give a chance. Let the story sort of unfold. There have been times that people say you love everything Dynamite does. No, that's not true. There have been times that Dynamite did books that I said to Nick, please don't do this again. And Nick good-naturedly chuckled, like what?
And did it again.
And did it. No, actually, I don't think. No, you know what? I would say probably not. And I don't think it has anything to do with me. I just think it has to do with, if, like any publisher, if the sales aren't there, if the buzz isn't there, if it isn't over, well, we've had versions of Vampirella which have been wildly successful.
Yeah, John goes home and tells his wife, I got that publisher to stop doing that nonsense.
No. She keeps waiting for the cease and desist from Dynamite to come in the mail. Every time FedEx is there, she looks over to see if he's got like a document envelope in his hand.
I don't think you can deliver at FedEx a legal document.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's the cops.
I think I think it has to come certified.
Mount Laurel Township. Stay the hell out of that place. Stay in the bagel store where you belong. But the moral of that story is, you really sort of want to give creators a chance. And I don't even care if it's Dynamite or not. A Dark Horse. Right. These characters that are vintage characters. I mean, Magnus is, I think, 1963 or 69. I mean, that's an old character.
Well, you're the old guy, so I'm going to depend on your.
I mean, let's be honest. Magnus, for young me, was great, because it's a guy using karate to chop robots' heads off. For a more sophisticated audience, you're like, dude, what am I looking at here? And we've got some really, really cool versions of Magnus, which are nothing like that. Although one of the throwbacks they did was like a multiverse of Magni, and one of them was the guy from like the 60s, gold key, simple outfit, white go-go boots, just looking to chop some robot's head off. And they're like, whoa, slow down. We don't do that here.
I've never read the hardly any Magnus stuff, but I did read one. It was a miniseries. It was a few years ago. I think Dynamite did it. It was the one that Kyle Higgins and Jorge Fornes did, where it was a reinterpretation, but it was a little bit like Blade Runner, a little bit like The Matrix. Yeah. That was a really, really solid book. That was a cool concept.
And again, there were people that were sort of like, me and the 7 other Magnus fans that have survived into the 21st century are like, I don't like that. And I'm like, no, trust me. There's some really cool versions of this character that are out there that should absolutely, you can just independently, people are like, oh, I've never read Magnus. You don't need to. Just, pick it up and read it with an open mind. And, and I always say this, like, I think years later, Fred Van Lente was at a con, and I almost wanted to go up to him and apologize. Not that, first of all, he'd have any idea who I was, or second of all, care. But I was, like a lot of fanboys, I'm online and I'm upset. And I'm like, what are they thinking over at Dynamite? Why is this guy doing Magnus Robot Fighter? And of course, afterwards, it turns out to be, amazing. Now my problem is the publisher doesn't do enough Magnus Robot Fighter.
You should complain to the publisher. I hear that works.
Yeah, that works. That works great.
Put together a good pitch for it. Put together a good pitch.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
His pitch is usually do it or I won't leave the office.
The number of pitches.
It's very effective.
The number of pitches unsolicited, let me be super clear, that Nick has received from me sort of are what kind of he's using for his resume for sainthood. Because I know he's going to be like, do you know how many ideas that I've had from this guy?
That's why we put him on the show. It's the only way to make him stop. Talk to the camera. Talk to the camera.
Talk to the camera, less
Well, no,
unsolicited
probably
pitches.
his email, right? So all those pitches still go to his email, and there's like a general great idea button with like the thumbs up emoji. But
Automated response.
It's just an automated response. It's
Cool.
real email.
Let's do a remark for Ron.
Let's
Ron, are
do
you
a
still
remark
there?
for Ron.
Has the wife stunned you? Proof of life. Blink twice. Let us know you're
At
okay.
the end of the year, Ron will be Electro. He'll be able to change the channel on the TV with his eyes. This
Oh my
is
gosh.
a really nice remark. Amazing Spider-Man 850, signed and remarked by Ken Haeser. This is just, this is just sweet. And again, not to sound condescending, but these books sell themselves. I really just have to show people this is here, and this
Ken
is how
Haeser
much
stuff.
it is. Ken is a master of this format.
As you can see, we're definitely Ken Haeser fanboys. So, Amazing Spider-Man number 49, Legacy number 850, blank variant, signed and remarked with a Spidey sketch by Ken Haeser. Suggested retail of $89.99. Tonight we have it for $62.
Nice.
That's just, like I said, I like to, people wait. People, Spider-Man, Batman, whatever. People, they wait for their moment, right? And they're looking for something really special.
Right.
And of course, everybody has a budget. I don't care what they say. Everybody has a budget for stuff. $62.
Except John.
I do have a budget for stuff.
An unlimited budget.
Don't laugh. I'm one Powerball away from Green Hornet being a weekly here.
Uh-oh. I love what
I
I love about that
come
cover.
on you very soon.
No, I keep you on, bud.
What I love about Ken's work on that is it's
What I
Miles.
Oh. Holy moly, that's exactly what I meant, John.
So that's Miles Morales. The use of the red in that is astounding to me.
It's absolutely phenomenal. Yeah. So let's do a quick recap before we got to go to break. All right. So we had the Batman and Robin number 1 signed by artist Frank Watley for $39. John will pick up the 99 cents for whoever claims it. We have one. Batman Beyond number 50 signed by Dan Jurgens. Who is this Batman that we keep talking about anyway?
Fringe character.
He's really underexposed. I think it's a really interesting character.
I keep hoping there's a universe somewhere where Ragman is DC's go-to character.
I hope there's a universe
Bob
where everybody's
Bob
required.
Gallagher's like a billionaire.
I hope there's a universe where everybody's required to dress like Batman and come to your house daily. Batman Beyond, number 50, signed by Dan Jurgens. Suggested retail of $49.99. Tonight we have it for $19.99. And
For a Silver Signature Series book, that's just...
we just had the Amazing Spider-Man number 49, Legacy 850, with the Spidey sketch by Ken Haeser for $62. And then we had Batman number 100, signed and remarked by Ken Haeser. This is a nice one.
This is really nice. I mean, all jokes aside, that's about as good as Batman is going to look in a remarked sketch.
So suggested retail of $89.99. Tonight we have it as one of our 5 stars at $50. Then we have John, who loves Go-Go Boots, Magnus Robot Fighter number 1.
People think I'm kidding. Go Google the Golden Key version of Magnus.
We're just concerned you keep bringing it up. Magnus Robot Fighter number 1, Midtown Comics variant edition with the variant cover. Suggested retail of $29.99. Tonight it is one of our perfect 10 reads at $10. Then we have Battlestar Galactica number 4, high-end Alex Ross version art cover. No trade dress on it. I love you and I've talked about it.
Yeah,
I know Robbie,
it's
big
Alex
fan.
Ross.
Alex Ross, just the lifelike quality.
If you're talking art, Alex Ross is like the magic word Shazam. If you're talking superpowers, I don't have to say anything else.
It's just a retail of $100, and the other perfect 10 read at $10 tonight. We have the one available at that price. Warlord of Mars, Deja Thoris, number 19, high-end black and white, ultra limited cover by Fabiano Neves. Limited to only 25 that were ever printed. That's smaller than some of the signature editions we do.
Yeah.
Suggested retail of $100, and it is our other 5-star at $50 tonight. We have one at that price. Then we did the Future State, the next Batman number 1, CGC graded 9.8 for $89.99, and we have the one. You are guaranteed to get the 9.8 as we only have one at this price. And then we did Fantastic Four number 41. We have that at $130, and it has a presumed grade of 7.0. So if you're looking to fill out your Silver Age collection, we have this available tonight at $130.
And when we come back from our break, we're going to do some more of the. We'll probably run through the rest of the Fantastic Four, so that people will see, what they have. This is a great opportunity. You get these gaps, like you said. You know what I mean? 3-4 issues. Collection. Things start to get pricey. Maybe you want to replace a reading copy. When we come back on the other side of the break, that'll be sort of your.
And JD writes the brutal betrayal of Ben Grimm.
That's a great issue.
JD. So you know what? Let's go to break, and we'll be back in about 3 minutes or so. Hey everyone, we're back. We got my buddy John, and we got Rockin' Robbie from Pop Culture Philosophers here tonight. So, what do you think, guys? What should we go to next? You wanted to get through the vintage.
Yeah, let's
right?
do the vintage stuff, because I know there are people, and as much as they love us, I mean, let's be honest, we're massively over. But people tune in for certain things, the remarks, the vintage stuff, like the more serious collectors target certain things.
Right.
So I'd almost rather sort of say, hey, look, this is what we have tonight. Let them look at it and, claim away sort of thing.
So 42.
Yep, this is
All right.
Fantastic Four 42.
So we have Fantastic Four number 42. We have it tonight for $70. Of course, like all the other vintage stuff, we have one. And this one has a presumed grade of 5.0. So again, you know, these are for those Silver Age collectors that are trying to fill in the gaps of their collection. It's a great opportunity.
Lots of people have reading copies where the cover is cut off because the distributor sent it back.
And we try to be very conservative about the grade, the presumed grade that we give.
Oh yeah.
So you know, if it's something, again, you know, if you're looking to get it graded slab at CGC, you know, we try to be very conservative. So better to under promise and over deliver, so to speak.
There's that, and then again, just, you know, and I don't want people to think we're beating a dead horse here, but sometimes they don't think we're serious, and then they run up to the wall. CGC is behind, and I'm not, you know, I'm not bagging on them, but they're behind. They've got staff shortages. Not to mention the pandemic sent everybody into their basement and attic and storage spaces and long boxes and short boxes and bankers boxes. And the next thing you know, they've got 1 million books. The collector market explodes, and everybody thinks they're sitting on, you know, six figures. And let's be honest, they're probably not. But this is a great way for you to get slab books that are already graded. And you know, it's a lot easier. I mean, it's literally clicking a link, filling out the form, Rex sends you your book. There's no waiting. There's no, you know, hey, it's 6 months. I mean, I've said this. I've had friends who sent books in, and they didn't even get the notifications that they received the books till 6, 7, 8 weeks later.
Right.
So that means, and I don't know if Robbie's experienced this too, but I don't know if like the stuff arrives and it just sits there. And they've got, you know, instead of having 10 people open the boxes, it's like one person opening the boxes.
Yeah, I mean,
they're behind on just opening the boxes right now, right? But back to this Fantastic Four thing. I've been wanting to say this is, like, I am a huge Fantastic Four fan. That is like my absolute favorite stuff, right? So I'm letting you know from personal reader experience that this era of Fantastic Four in the 40s, building up to the coming of Galactus and the introduction of Black Panther and then Doom stealing the Surfer's power, this lead up into that is when Kirby and Lee are hitting their stride. They're doing the Frightful Four story right there, the brutal betrayal of Ben Grimm. Like, that really happened. He joins the Frightful Four. He betrays the Fantastic Four. Then Gorgon shows up, and we find out Medusa's part of the Inhumans. They introduce all of that. Like, this is, and it's a great time because I collect vintage Fantastic Four stuff too, right? And if you want that Silver Age stuff, it's starting to go up, obviously, because the movie, right? But when that movie happens, and usually when the MCU gets a hold of something, it will work, right? They made Guardians of the Galaxy work. They made Shang-Chi work. Right. They make things work. These books will not be this cheap, probably, again, for the next 15 years, I would say.
I would agree.
Yeah, as soon as, and this almost seems like a little bit of a cheat code type situation, but I tell people all the time, once Marvel Studios drops the Fantastic Four social media accounts, that means they're on the board. You know what I mean?
Something's right behind
as a collector, you're on the clock because you, as a collector, want to get the best price you can for the best condition books, right? And so here's the clock. And the clock starts going. When the clock hits 0, that means the movie is out. And as we've seen before with Guardians of the Galaxy, Black Panther, the prices of current and back issues
start to shoot up.
Just start to shoot up. There's no sort of two ways about it. Now it affects original art, affects statues. One of my social media friends collects statues.
Because all of a sudden it's on the radar.
Yes.
And people will naturally gravitate toward anything that they see that's suddenly, oh, look, you know.
I have a friend that asked me for insider trading, and he said, he's like, I got a few Vampirella statues I want to buy. When you guys sign that movie deal, give me a heads up because I can't afford to go to eBay and pay 3 times as much for them. And he was kind of joking, but there's an element of truth to it.
Right.
You know what I mean? They're working now. They're trying to figure out exactly how they want to. Fantastic Four have had 3 strikes, 4 if you count Roger Corman. And it has not happened. Most people agree these Fantastic Four movies
I don't understand why. It's just one of those things, like that restaurant in a certain location that never seems to work, even though they put another restaurant in.
My theory is the Fantastic Four, maybe more than any other Marvel property, is almost like The Fly in Amber. It captures a period of time. Like Robbie said, this is Lee and Kirby's sweet spot. this is their prime, right? Nobody's doing stuff like this. We go back to 1966, whatever. Nobody's doing stuff like this. You look at what DC has on the shelves in the 60s, which would be the closest competition, right?
Right.
There's nothing like this. They're still kind of doing golden age stories, right? You've got a few things out there in the 60s from DC, but for the most part, we're getting to, so then you look at what they're doing, like you said, you've got things like the brutal betrayal of Ben Grimm. You're like, 13, 14 years old, you go to the spinner rack and you look at that, you're like, you're blown away by that.
Right.
And it's still raw. Like it's not that far removed from Ben first becoming the Thing. So it's still raw. We're building up to this man, this monster. Like that's all like, this was really freaking good back then. They were trying to play catch up with DC because Justice League was really successful. So they did Fantastic Four. And then for the next 20 years, it seemed like DC was trying to play catch up to Marvel, right?
That's a great point. They sort of got, like they went past them like moving like they were standing still.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You wind up all of a sudden with these crazy things. Even books that weren't huge sellers, like we'll say Roy Thomas and Neil Adams on the X-Men, right? You look back at it now and you're like, I can't believe how good this stuff is. At the time, it wasn't blowing off the shelves, but it creates a tone where you kind of slide over and DC starts to realize, wow, look at this. You know what I mean? We sort of need to, Superman and the giant key,
right?
Batman and the giant typewriter or whatever. We got to fix this a little bit. And I think that's where you start getting, and I'll tell you who made reference to this was Denny O'Neil. Yeah. Denny O'Neil was at a con and he talked about how, it's comics universe. We're not in the vacuum, right? He's like everybody else at DC, we saw what Marvel was doing.
Right.
We saw the kind of stories they were doing. And we wanted to do the kind of stories that became Creeper and Ragman and Phantom Stranger and House of Mystery and all these kind of books. Even Marvel's horror books. If you look at the horror books they were doing that, and that's like a real subgenre of comics.
Right.
But there's a dealer who is in Philadelphia every year. And his name is Simon. I can't think of his last name. He's like the known kind of expert among the dealers in this one sort of Marvel horror books, like late 60s, early 70s, right? And you look at what they did, and they were head and shoulders above everybody else. Yeah. DC's got the story of, some girl is about to get eaten by a guy who's becoming a tiger or something. And you're like, yeah, I've seen this like 100 times before.
Let's do 43. So we have 4 total FF
there shall be an ending. I almost feel like Robbie should be narrating these.
So Fantastic Four, number 43. We have the one presumed grade of 5.0, and we have this one for $100 tonight.
This is, all 3 of these issues are one epic. Like it's like one big story, and all these stories were so self-contained back then. This is where the Fantastic Four started becoming a little bit more looser, a little bit more loose, allowing stories to kind of run over in the pages. They would end a story in one issue and start the next one. Like a lot of people don't remember this, but when Galactus first shows up, it's the end of one story. And then like the second half is the first part of the Galactus story.
Right.
And it starts, that's what builds into the whole idea of a shared continuity, a shared universe. It all starts with the Fantastic Four.
And it was how they did things at the time, whether it be TV shows or...
Everything was very episodic.
Yes, exactly.
I am a huge fan of 60s sci-fi. And I have a bunch of this stuff. First, I had it on VHS, and I have it on DVD. Now I have it in digital. Things like Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea and Land of the Giants. And I love that stuff. But if you watch them out of order, it doesn't matter.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like start, beginning, and end. And I think when Lee and Kirby decide, hey, you know what? Why don't we just kind of do it this way and see what happens? Because much like comics are today, it's funny, we're almost full circle. They're up against like Superman and Batman. Yeah. And these are the biggest sellers on the planet, right? Now, 60, 70 years later, not so much Superman anymore, but Batman is a marketing monster.
Yeah.
And once again, you've got other publishers that are like, oh man, we've got to do something here. Otherwise, you're just kind of ceding the territory. Just send DC your money, we'll go out of business. And I think you're seeing publishers like Valiant really start to say, I think it was maybe when Valiant came back. People forget the first iteration of Valiant was good, but you know what I mean? You sort of had this universe that's split. and all the artists created Image, and some of the writers created Valiant. And, you know, some of that Valiant art was not great.
Yeah.
And in comparison to Spawn, you know, you just slid right on by and we're picking up. Plus, it was the 90s. All Rob Liefeld had to do is have somebody with like a vest and patches and straps and size 4 feet. And, you know, he was making a ton of money.
Yeah.
Girls on the cover of everything. So now I think Valiant came back and they were like, let's look at what we have now. You've got these amazing Batman stories, these amazing Flash stories. If I remember correctly, when Valiant relaunched, it was sort of like the Jeff Johns Green Lantern prime time. And that's what they're looking to be up against.
Right.
And they're like, so that's when they completely, I know some of the old school Valiant fans were upset. They changed characters, they changed this, they changed that. There was a time where before Dynamite, Valiant did Gold Key characters. Magnus Robot Fighter in particular. Yeah. It didn't, they didn't have that to fall back on now. When Valiant sort of came over, when Valiant restarted, Dynamite had Gold Key.
Right.
Or the Gold Key characters. So they sort of had to really dig deep and say, look, this is what the audience wants. They want these stories with traction. They want these stories that are relevant. They just don't want the same episodic stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that's how Valiant wound up winning all those awards in like 2014, 15.
Let's do the last one. So Fantastic Four number 44, presumed grade of 5.5.
We'll let Robbie read the cover of this one. And we
have the one at $95 and first appearance of Gorgon. Let's see. So we have this one at $95 tonight. Fantastic Four number 44.
I can't read the small print on it. The something is Gorgon. What is that?
The gentleman's name is Gorgon.
The gentleman's name is Gorgon.
They used to do these great sort of covers, and I'll be the first to admit comics today are, miles ahead of where they were in the Silver Age.
Yeah.
But there are certain times there are things I really, really miss. I miss like the 60s Adam Strange covers where he's trapped in the ship and something's trying to get in and his gun is out of juice, and there was always like this gripping headline,
right.
Sort of, boldface.
A sign of the times.
It was a sign of the times. Today, you don't really get that. Today you get this very understated, this is Batman, the Joker War, and that's all you need to know. Speaking of Batman, the Joker War.
Another amazing segue by John. All right.
Back on this little-known character named Batman.
Yeah, who is this Batman you guys keep speaking of? I gotta find it on the list. Here we go. Batman number 95, CGC graded 9.8. Suggested retail of $89.99, and tonight another one of our 5-star at $50. So you're guaranteed. We only have the one available, so you're guaranteed the if you claim this, it will be this particular issue, the 9.8.
And this is about as perfect as it gets.
So we got a CGC first part of the Joker War, and then we've got a remarked by Ken Haeser, last part of the Joker. What a great bookend of a set, right?
Correct. So, but this Batman guy, I don't know who you guys keep talking
about. He might not make it.
I think if we gave him an annual day, more people would know who he is. Right?
Well,
we should do a Batman day.
John's not sure he's going to be able to survive. That this one's going to make it.
There's a reason why. And like I said, I'm not the biggest Batman fan, but there's a reason why starting Elseworlds.
Robbie's shocked. Look at him.
I know, right? Starting with Elseworlds, they almost all started as Batman stories. And the best Elseworlds story, well, for me, the best Elseworlds story is Kingdom Come. However, DC vacillates back and forth on if Kingdom Come is an Elseworlds story or is not an Elseworlds story. I sat with a panel with Mark Waid, and he's like, you guys tell me, it changes all the time. This is the guy that wrote the book. So, but we also have Gotham by Gaslight.
Oh, yeah.
These are sort of like the stories that showed people like Batman can do anything. I mean, we've had Batman in the Renaissance. Leonardo da Vinci is as Alfred. We've had Batman as a samurai.
Batman as a vampire was amazing.
And that's, I was just going to say, there's been multiple versions of Vampire Batman. I mean, I'm trying to think of the name of it. Gods and Monsters. If you see Gods and Monsters, that is just, that shows you the characters you think you know in a very different light. Injustice, I guess, is going to be an animated series, maybe?
Yeah, I think so. That's what I heard.
I don't know if it's going to be live action, but they're going to do an animated Injustice, and that means you're going to kind of see. One of my favorite things is they'll put together, if you go to YouTube, you'll see Injustice movie, 4 hours. It's just all the animatics from the game, right? I'll put that on in the background, and that's awesome.
Actually, I think over the weekend, I watched the Justice League Justice is Gray. That was like almost 4 hours. Yeah. So I mean,
It's
is that the black and white Snyder cut? Is that what you're
that
doing?
is the black and white Snyder
and
cut.
I got to tell you, that's like 4 hours of my life. I should send Zach a bill for it.
Yeah,
Oh,
that
man,
was.
I love the 4-hour version of that movie.
It
I
was,
really do.
The black and white was just like, well, everything's in black and white now. I've seen it in color. It just,
Yeah.
So
but
certain
clearly
things-
I had nothing better to do, so I
No.
sat there and watched 4 hours of it.
Certain things are better in black and white, though. I don't know if they still do it. But there was a time where they were doing The Walking Dead in black and white. And I got to tell you, the first episode of The Walking Dead in black and white, as opposed to color, is terrifying.
See, I think that's a Frank Darabont thing because he did the first season of Walking Dead, right? And he did that with The Mist, which I think is one of the best Stephen King movie adaptations.
Oh,
But
yeah.
On the Blu-ray I got, it has the regular version, but it has a black and white version that's actually, I think, better. Like,
you know what? I agree with you
A
guys.
buddy of mine, we watched that. He has the same thing. He has the Blu-ray, and he looked at me. Been friends for years. He looks at me. He's like, "I got a version of this movie you're gonna like." We put it on, and I'm like, "Oh, it's in black and white."
I think the problem that I had with it was, you already had two different cuts, right? And I like the Schneider cut, and I enjoyed it, and everything else. But then it just felt like you just picked up all the scenes you cut, stitched them all together into a longer version of the movie, and then made it black and white. It almost felt a little bit like,
I think to a
kind
certain
of like
extent, there's-
overexposed. I don't know who made me think of that term.
the thing I would say about the Snyder cut is that there is a really good 2.5-hour movie in there.
Yes,
right?
I agree.
If they would have just went on with doing what they were trying to do, I think we would have gotten a really good 2.5-hour Justice League movie. Because
Yes,
they
I would
built
agree.
that woman's singing to Aquaman for 5 minutes, smelling his sweater, and it's just this. What I think at this point, Snyder was like, "All right, Warner Brothers, I'll do it, but I'm gonna put everything in there." I'm surprised the catering company didn't show up, and you got to see him set up the catering, man. He put everything.
And here's when the food truck arrived on Taco Day.
And then you'd see a cameo by John.
No, you know what? You would have to hope that Kevin Smith did that for Mallrats, and then you would see me, because I was one of the caterers for Mallrats.
Oh,
nice.
man. Told you, man knows his stuff.
Yeah, back then I used to do a lot of mobile catering, and the caterer that they hired had somehow their license had lapsed. And the guy's wife called me and said, "Until we get our license, do you want to go in and do this? It's a movie set." And I'd done one or two before. I was a big Clerks fan, and I did not know it was going to be Kevin Smith. I get there, whatever, and I look, and of course my jaw hits the floor. And thankfully I remembered that Kevin Smith's favorite lunch is turkey on a pita. So I was like, "Turkey on a pita?" And they were all kind of laughed or whatever. And that's the one time I got to speak 10 words to Kevin Smith.
So because I think that our goal tonight should be to make sure that this Batman character, is fully embraced by the comic book fans out there, because I really think it could work. I really think this character could stand the test of time. Let's do.
He's a guy in a suit. No one's buying that. He's not the Shadow.
Sometimes these Dynamite fans, they get a little cult-like. You know what I'm saying? Let's do Batman Prelude to the Wedding Master set, signed by Tim Seeley.
Sorry, I have to find it, everybody. Man, I got to tell you, I particularly like this
Because
cover.
I believe that Batman is underexposed, and without our help.
Oh my God.
So hold on. You want to pull those out? Do you want
No,
me to
I ain't
pull?
pulling all those.
I'll pull it, and I'll hand them to you.
That seems like asking for trouble.
Hey, gotta live dangerously.
Wait, shouldn't there be a holofoil seal on that?
No, this is the bag over the bag.
My
See?
mistake.
No, this is
The old
John
bag
Proof.
over the bag.
Yeah,
This is
John Proof.
This is how
Yeah.
everything Dynamic Forces has will come now. Everything will be double bagged.
We anticipate John's presence as his handling of the books. So we make sure that we John-proof everything. So for those of you viewing, if you're going to make a claim tonight, it has all been John-proof. You're fine. Don't worry. Only person he makes nervous is Nick.
Hey, Nick, I found this art in your office. No, you didn't. Put it back and walk away.
So Batman Prelude to the Wedding, master set signed by Tim Seeley. So this includes Batman Prelude to the Wedding, Batgirl versus the Riddler #1, Batman Prelude to the Wedding, Harley Quinn versus the Joker #1, Batman Prelude to the Wedding, Nightwing versus Hush #1, and Batman Red Hood versus Anarchy #1, and finally Batman Prelude to the Wedding, Robin versus Ra's al Ghul #1. So you get all of them. They're a matched master set, and they're all signed by Tim Seeley.
The covers are all cool, but this Robin Ra's al Ghul thing is too cool.
And suggested retail is $99.99, and this is another one of our 5-star reads at $50.
Tim Seeley signed all of these, and it looks like Silver Signature Series. Yep. There are only 60 of these each.
So limited edition of 60.
So they are very limited.
And we have the one set.
And we have the one set.
Go ahead.
Tim Seeley still making lots of rounds out there. He's got the new Suicide Squad King Shark book out this week. That's actually pretty fun. He's doing a book called Money Shot over at Vault Comics, which is really fun if you like raunchy sex comedies, I guess you can say. So he's a fan favorite right now. And like I said, we're in this world where there's not a lot of conventions right now. So if you want to get some of your favorite creator signatures, this is a really good and cheap way to do it.
No, exactly. I mean, you know, and again, we touch on this, but you bring up a good point, is that with the current situation, who knows what's going on? I mean, you know,
well, not only that, but you've got different rules in different states. And
yes.
Cons go from states to states, right? So maybe you go to a con in one state. I'll just randomly pick a state, Ohio. You go to a con in Ohio, and these are the rules. And you sort of, okay, this is what I'm going to do, right? And we talk about that. And then all of a sudden, the con moves over to like Colorado and Denver. There's a completely different rule set. Rules, yeah. Sometimes there's different rules in a city and a state.
On New York.
I have New York. I have friends who live in Florida that tell me the rules for Miami are different than the rules for Jacksonville. So cons are much more research intensive than they used to be. The other thing we talk about all the time is, and I really hope this doesn't sound like I'm patting myself on the back, but when
Here it comes. No, buckle up, Robbie.
When I was younger, cons were more reasonable to go to. I didn't have much money, but you could still find a way to make it work, right? Now you fast forward to, we'll say, the last time I was in San Diego, which was 2019. The price, first of all, it's just like rollerball to even get badges, right? Let's just say you've overcome that. You know, the first con I went to, I literally went to the window, bought a ticket. That was it. Went in, had a great time. Now there's the entire badge process. There's an entire sub-economy in, you know, scalped badges, however you want to call them. It's like a whole deal. Finding a hotel room that's affordable and close to the convention center in places like San Diego or McNichols Center in Denver, like a nightmare. I'm fortunate that I'm able to basically stay at a hotel where the con is. Most people can't do that. So going to a con used to be a fun road trip. Now it's like a road trip to Mount Everest. And unfortunately, the odds are you're not going to get where you want to go, especially in the first shot. And I don't want to discourage anybody from going to cons. I just want to be realistic here. I mentioned this on a radio show I did, a comic radio show I did last year for WNJN. And I said to them, nobody kind of lets you know what you're in for until you get to the con and the chicken burrito is $19. And, you know, you're like, oh, you know, and you're parked 3 miles away and you're waiting for a shuttle. And there's a lot going on. So, and that's in the best of times. Now with the pandemic, some creators show up and some don't. They're like, no, I don't feel comfortable. This is a much better way. And if it sounds self-serving, I'm sorry. This is a much better way for the average person to get their hands on, you know, 9.8 Future State, 9.8 Symbiote Spider-Man, which we'll get to when we come back from the break. You want to fill out your Silver Age slots.
Right. I'm hoping that, again, that one day this pandemic will end, and life will return to somewhat normalcy.
Well, I think people will always be a little bit careful. There's always going to be somebody with a mask on, right? Even before the pandemic,
Who isn't Batman?
If you travel to places like Hong Kong, you would see people had masks on.
Yeah.
I think what John's saying is that even in a post-pandemic world, it's much better to get this signed and graded stuff here than have to go to a place to overpay for a burrito, right?
Yeah. A $17 burrito, sir.
Yeah, that better be a good burrito.
And that's a great point too. Nick just mentioned waiting in line is crazy.
And listen. And don't get us wrong. From the perspective of certainly if you have a creator that's going to be at the con and someone you want to meet, there is something to be said about that, and to wait in line for 45 minutes or longer.
Yeah, because some dude's got like 50 comics he wants Chris Claremont to sign in front of him.
Yeah,
and then wants to talk to him too.
I have a question. An X-Men 137. Oh, slow down, my friend.
And Chris will talk to you, so that's dangerous. So, like Chris Claremont line is going to be long.
Right, exactly. But the point of fact is that with what's going on today, you're having a lot of creators cancel. And as John mentioned, the differing rules from state to state or town to town.
Like a week before New York, there were creators who were like, I just don't feel comfortable. They have kids at home, maybe they have parents at home. They just didn't feel comfortable. And that, it's fine for them to do that. They should absolutely do that for their safety. Yeah. Most people who plan on going to cons start a year ahead of time, budgeting. I tell people all the time, do you want to go to Comic-Con? Yes. Well, let's just say it's 2015. Your first realistic go is 2016. Oh, no, I can make it this year, and I have to be the one to say, no, you can't.
Well, I think the point being made here, I think all three of us are making the same point, is that if you're really trying to grow your collection, the con may not be the most efficient way of doing that.
That's the best way to have fun, not the best way to grow
exactly.
your
It's the experience itself. You have one, maybe two creators that you've been dying to meet, and you wait in a line. You browse the vendors, and go through, what they have, at the con to sell, and it's the entire experience. You watch the cosplayers walk by. It's that entire environment, that experience. But if you're really trying to grow your collection, it's probably not the most efficient way of doing it.
The single greatest thing of a con is going and sitting in a panel right in the front row.
Right.
And every time the publisher says, "Does anybody have any questions?" watching Nick's face wince as I raise my hand to ask Mark Russell about Lone Ranger.
That's when Nick goes, "Does anybody else have a question?" Anyone at all.
It's really funny. All jokes aside, I found Mark Russell later that day at the con, and we had this super nice conversation.
He snuck out.
He did sneak out the one day. Plus, Nick told probably the greatest story that's ever been told at Comic-Con. But he snuck out. But I did catch him later, and he was super nice. We follow each other on social media. He's like, "Wow, you are really a Lone Ranger fan." I'm like, "Yeah." He jokingly said, "Maybe I should have called you."
Maybe you should have mentioned Green Hornet. But you know what? We actually need to go to a break, JD.
Go to our last break, and then we're going to
go ahead and take us to a break, and we'll be back to talk about more nonsensical stuff with our buddy Robbie.
To be continued. 3 little words that hold the secret to the next great story. 3 words that will thrill you, confound you, give life to new possibilities. Every variation of To Be Continued is a promise of adventure, a promise of excitement, a promise of unseen wonders and unexplored worlds. A promise that every issue you read makes you a part of a never-ending journey, and behind every page there will be an unopened door waiting for you. This story to be continued at your local comic book shop today. Visit comicshoplocator.com today.
we're back with my buddy John and Rock and Robbie from Pop Culture Philosophers to talk more about what do we got? What do you got there?
This is just the first thing I grabbed. I love these sort of variant covers. This is Midtown Comics. This is Infinity #1. And I got to tell you, the covers that these, Midtown in particular, has some awesome variant covers. They really do.
Infinity #1, the Midtown Comics edition variant cover, and we have it for $29.99. And this is a hard book to come by with the Midtown Comics variant cover, and we have one available at this price at $29.99.
Especially for people out of our area. It's a little bit easier to find Midtown Comics if we'll say you're in the Northeast.
Yeah, right.
But if you live in the Midwest or the South,
because they're based out of New York.
They're based out of New York. So basically, if you're like a Denver collector, you know what I mean? You're probably going to pay, maybe a little bit of inflated price because the dealers had to go find this thing.
These days, we don't even have enough truck drivers.
Yeah, down here in Alabama at my shop, we get asked weekly about Midtown exclusives, and we're like, we could order it from their site and then bring it here, but if you're a business trying to make money, you're going to inflate that price a little bit, right?
Right.
Yeah, they are not.
No, it's not like a charity. Sometimes people forget that a little bit. Like, people have money to make, bills to pay.
Hey, Robbie,
we all wish comic books were free, right? We all do.
Why not? Pay the landlord in comics. I'm sure it'll be okay.
You know what? Seeing as how my wife owns everything, I could probably get away with that.
So, Robbie, let me ask you: have you been to any cons lately?
No. Well, the last con I was at was a local con. So we have the Huntsville Comic and Pop Culture Expo. We did that in April. There weren't as many guests. People were still very nervous to come out and things like that. Sure. But I am going to a horror convention in Lexington at the end of October called Scarefest.
Okay.
And I am pumped because Linnea Quigley's going to be there, Tony Todd, Kane Hodder, Bruce Campbell. I'm ready. I've been saving money.
After that con, you have to give us a report.
I will.
Let us know. Yeah, let us know. Take pictures and stuff.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. But the Huntsville con was real fun too. PCP puts up a booth. My comic shop has a booth. We did a panel. There was like nobody in the panel room. It was a lower year, but it was still fun. My favorite thing about going is, obviously I like vintage toys. And so I always scope out really good Masters of the Universe collections and stuff like that. That's what I love doing about cons.
So, all right. So before John walks off with something, because I see him shopping here on the rack, get to the next one.
For you, it's a show. For me, it's concierge shopping.
It's shopping.
This is Battlestar Galactica #5. This is
also Alex Ross.
Sort of the companion piece to Battlestar Galactica #4.
So Battlestar Galactica #5, high-end Alex Ross. As you can see, no trademarks.
No trade dress.
Ultra limited. Suggested retail of $100 because, let's face it, it's Alex Ross.
It's Alex Ross. Not to mention, there's only 25 of these. Let's be clear.
There's only 25 that were ever printed. So tonight we have it for $19.78, the year Battlestar Galactica first aired, and we have one available at this price.
I broke Rex's heart on Friday when we did our preview show when I was like, I've never seen Battlestar Galactica, but I can appreciate an Alex Ross cover.
But I'm sure you spent the entire weekend catching up like I asked you to, right, Rob? Yeah,
right?
No, not at all. But I do have it.
I hate this man's brutal honesty.
I do have it on the list, though. I got like a Steve Rogers type list.
I need to see how long that list is and exactly where Battlestar Galactica ranks on that list. I'm going to have to see that.
Yeah, we won't go that deep into it, but let's just
I tell everyone that Battlestar Galactica is a great way to see literally where it started, and then you catch the Sci-Fi Channel version and see where they brought it to. It's pretty, it's pretty impressive storytelling, let's be honest.
All right, so clearly we need to do more Batman because we need to get him to the forefront.
You know what? I actually had someone during the break message me and say, the second hour should be Batman. I'm like, yeah, okay, great.
The first hour should be Batman. The second hour should be Batman. No more Green Hornets.
DC would have to pay us a significant amount of money for that.
Well, maybe pay
Nick, and then we'd get 2 pizzas for dinner.
We haven't gotten one yet.
How many toppings? That's the thing. Yeah.
This is
Or
Detective.
delivery, since the guy asked for a tip live on the air.
Oh yeah, we talked about that before.
We already
man.
talked about it.
Oh my
It's
god,
a great
the guy
shot
took
of the
a
guy
tip on the
delivery
air.
guy's butt.
Hey, where's my tip? You're kidding me, right?
He wasn't getting that from.
Here's your tip. Don't get in front of the camera.
Don't get rid of the camera.
He's like,
dude.
give me a
It's
tip and I'll move
live
from in
stream.
front of the camera.
This is Detective Comics 1000. This is a DF exclusive. There's a wraparound cover by Dan
Batman Through the
Jurgens,
Ages, which is very,
Kevin
very cool.
Nolan. There's only 125 of these. This one has been signed by Kevin Nolan.
Silver signature,
Silver
right?
Signature series.
So Detective Comics number 1000, Dynamic Forces exclusive wraparound art variant cover by Dan Jurgens and Kevin Nolan. And this one is signed by Kevin Nolan, silver signature. Suggested retail of $59.99. And we have 2 available tonight for $27 for Detective number 27.
Nice.
And
This Batman guy, he's got a future, I think.
Yeah, I think so. I think he's got potential. And he might break through any time here.
The tide is turning, you know?
Yes, I feel it as well. You know, guys like John, they're the past.
There's a new wave coming, baby.
All right. See, John's getting into it. Another Batman cut.
Well, you know what I mean. You know, give the people what they want. I guess.
Exactly.
I'm one Powerball win away from never having to do this again.
From Green Hornet titles being the only comic in the
Weekly.
universe.
No. It'll be everything Dynamite does, but it will be weekly, like it should be.
So we got Batman number
I
44.
don't think there's enough creators to actually do that.
First printing. Well, you'll win the Powerball, so that won't be a problem.
I know, right? It's made up anyway.
You'll train a whole new generation of
This
creators.
is the Joelle Jones cover, and I got to tell you, man, when
Beautiful.
the Lady Killer creator decided to do Catwoman, I'm like, this is sort of like hand in glove.
So Batman number 44, first printing, Catwoman covered by Joelle Jones, signed by Tom King.
Yeah.
So suggested retail of
And he
$39.99,
writes a few books.
and we have it for $27 tonight for Detective
You
number
know what?
27.
Hazard pay $10 now.
$10.
Whoa.
Oh, wow.
That's it.
So all right, so the man behind the curtain says we're doing a price change, sudden price change. JD, get ready. Batman number 44, first printing, Catwoman covered by Joelle Jones, signed by Tom King, is now $10, and we only have one, obviously, at this point.
After doing this, now I can't read, like, I couldn't read the second run of Lady Killer without thinking of her as just being Catwoman. I'm like, Catwoman, housewife in the 50s now. This is perfect.
That cover was hot when it came out too, because it was the wedding
Yeah.
dress and the design of it was really cool. Like it's a really cool wedding dress. And, you know, people would like to keep their wedding dress, but, you know, obviously the wedding didn't happen. But that is a beautiful design on that book.
Well, it'll be simple enough I told somebody who was upset the wedding didn't happen. I said, yeah, but it did. You just have to wait for them to stumble onto the universe where she's his wife, or there's talk that they'll bring back with What If's popularity. There's been buzz that DC will kick off Elseworlds again.
Right.
Well, and Tom King's doing the Batman Catwoman book right now, where in that story they are married and they have Helena Wayne and all that stuff. So it's part of a timeline. It's an omniverse, right? It's infinite realities.
Exactly.
I tell people all the time, just wait. You know what I mean? Oh, I'd really like to see, like, you know, Superman with the Green Lantern ring. Well, first of all, they've done that already. But second of all, just wait. It'll come back around again.
I'd really like them to make a good FF film, but that's just me.
Just wait. It'll come back around.
This one didn't take the pass the first time, though, Rob.
I know, man.
Once Marvel picked up X-Men and Fantastic Four, they're building to the next big thing. And my guess would be 9 years from now, 10 years from now, we'll be talking about Avengers and X-Men.
I'm cautiously optimistic.
Galactus. It's Galactus. The next big thing. It's Galactus.
All right, what do you got there, buddy?
Symbiote Spider-Man #1. I absolutely love this cover because in a lot of ways it's throwback to a Silver Age cover.
So Symbiote Spider-Man #1, CGC graded 9.8. Suggested retail of $89.99, and we have this one here. We have just the one for $62 for the year Spider-Man first appeared. And since we only have the one, you are guaranteed
The
if you make this
9.8.
claim, that you'll get the 9.
And if you've been listening to this show and other shows, there's reasons why this is a better option for you. Then, you know what I mean? It's some of these books, these chase books, I'd say chase books are getting hard. They're getting hard to find. Stores are closing. Stores have limited hours. Just like everything else in the world, everything's just getting a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, everything has changed.
And we're sort of like a cheat code for that.
Yeah. I mean, it's the world has changed. The way we obtain information has changed. So in a sense, we're here as a complement to both the cons and the local comic book shops. Try to bring you stuff that you may not be able to get.
Symbiote Spider-Man's a great book too. Peter David doing a great job on that book. It's a nice throwback to the 80s. That's when I first started reading Spider-Man, when he was in that black costume era, and I loved it. I loved all of that stuff. So that's all
I love black costume Spider-Man, but my understanding is the hardcore Spider-Man fans do not.
Yeah, I get it. Not anymore though. Now the hardcore Spider-Man fans are like, yeah, the symbiote. Let's bring it back, Venom. Right?
That's a perfect example of what goes around. No, not what goes around comes around. That's a bad idea. But the wheel is always turning, right? People hated the black costume. Originally, Venom was sort of popular and sort of not. And then it got kind of tired, you know, because you had Venom and Carnage and all these other things. And then it's come completely around again, where you've got this whole symbiote sub-universe that's been imprinted on Marvel.
Right.
And it's massively popular.
Do you remember when everybody hated the Clone Saga? And now everybody's like, yeah, Ben Reilly's back. They're doing Clone Sagas for Miles Morales. Like people, it's so weird how that works. I guess nostalgia becomes a big part of it, right? And that's
Keaton. Think about that.
Well,
exactly,
And I think about, we've talked about this in other genres. I don't want to say they're out of stories, but you have to be so much more careful now. And you almost have to prove it's a success before you write a single word or draw a single panel, right? Back in the day when things were not quite so expensive and margins weren't quite so tight, somebody could take a flyer and say, hey, look, I got this idea for Professor Radish, and maybe some publisher would take it. No one's doing that now. Everything has to be put on a T-shirt, a lunchbox. Speaking of T-shirts and lunchboxes, growing up, I saw Spider-Man pretty much everywhere on everything. This is Spider-Man #1.
You're going to bash Spider-Man 2?
No, I mean that in a great way.
No, bash Spider-Man 3. Spider-Man 2 was pretty good.
So
half of Spider-Man 3 is okay.
Spider-Man #1, 1990, first print, signed by John Romita Sr. And we only have the one at $499.99, and we would do a payment plan, over 30 days. Deposit and then the balance of 30 days.
Nick has talked about it. Spencer Beck has talked about it. We've talked about it. John Romita Sr. is kind of done, taking his place up on Mount Olympus of Marvel creators. I don't, no one foresees him being at cons, being at shows, doing tons of signs.
I mean, before the pandemic, he was.
I think that ship has just sailed. And I think if you're like, hey, John Romita's signature is on my bucket list, you probably ought to give us a call, because that's going to be your best.
And Robbie and I talked about it. You're talking about comic book royalty, so to speak.
Yeah.
When you have a generational talent like that, it's almost unheard of.
And I'm going to tell you this too, like, there are more copies of that issue signed by Todd McFarlane or signed by Stan Lee than there are John Romita.
Yeah.
There's way, like, everybody overvalues, pay what you want, but I think the signature of Stan Lee is a very important and iconic signature, right? Absolutely. There's so many of them out there compared to someone like a John Romita, right? Well, and that's not, you're not just going to go to a con next weekend and get John Romita to sign something for you.
Yeah,
right. And Stan Lee, was the face of Marvel for so long, and then
30 years maybe.
Yeah, and then the cameos in the movies and he propelled himself to the general public who were going to the movies, but maybe we're not actual comic book readers or collectors or that.
And he was at cons like every weekend with massive lines.
Right, exactly. But John Romita Sr. and you look at someone like Kirby. Okay, he didn't sign a lot.
Yeah, he did not think that was when Kirby was doing art.
Yeah, and then he passed away.
He passed away. He signed some things later in his career, stuff like he did stuff for Topps.
Right.
And stuff like that from the Kirby verse.
Well, and for Dynamic Forces as well. But it wasn't like Stan Lee. I mean, Stan Lee was the public face, so he was doing a lot of signings. But guys like Romita Sr. and Jack Kirby, they were more behind the scenes, not quite like Stan Lee.
They were busy drawing, right?
Yeah, exactly. They were busy drawing,
They were busy drawing,
not doing cameos in films. And
4 pages a day, every single day.
Right, exactly. So when you look at the quantity of those signatures out there as compared to someone like Stan, again, not saying that that Stanley autograph isn't in high demand. I don't think people realize the difference in the amount of signatures of one as opposed to the other.
I mean, I've been to cons and Stan sat there and signed everything for everybody. He was, so warm and generous. And this is even like a few years back.
Right.
I'm at a con in Cincinnati, and literally he's signing everything. Shirts, baby clothes. He was just so gracious to everybody, signing. And even then, he wasn't like a young man, but he was like so psyched to kind of be with the fans and answer questions.
So, what do you got there?
This is Secret Wars #1, Ken Haeser remark. Great Reed Richards sketch. I have not seen
pretty awesome.
too much Reed Richards remarks, to be honest with you.
I love it.
You know what I mean? Like, obviously we joke around a lot, but Superman, Batman, Spider-Man, you see these remarks fairly frequently.
And this is probably the least expensive remark I think we've ever had on air. Secret Wars #1, signed and remarked with a Reed Richards sketch by Ken Haeser. Suggested retail of $89.99. Tonight we have this for $19.84. The year Secret Wars premiere from
came out.
Nice. Very eccentric to that. The original Secret Wars and the Hickman Secret Wars there was Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic, the lead.
Yes.
He's my favorite. I would say he's my favorite superhero, probably. Like Marvel superhero would be Reed Richards. He's like, I grew up watching Bill Nye the Science Guy a little bit, and I'm down here in Huntsville, Alabama. We got NASA and the Space Center and all that. So Reed Richards to me, and just the Fantastic Four in general, it's amazing. You don't see many remarks of Reed, and that's a really dope one. I really like that.
I see that. The remark.
The remark of Reed Richards?
The man behind the curtain.
What do we got it at?
I got it here at $19.84.
Which is the year Secret.
Nice. That's a good one.
The man behind the curtain says nice. That's a good one.
Yes.
Well, it's one of these things where this is a great opportunity to grab some original art. We talk about this all the time that, remarks, they tick all the boxes, right?
Yeah.
They're usually affordable. They're original art. They're signed. They're limited. Every remark is one of one, basically.
Yeah, I mean, because even if you have someone like Ken Haeser who draws two that are very similar, same, aspect.
Each one is original. We talked about that. We looked at, and it's not just the major characters. We've looked at versions of a character like Punchline, where he's just done different versions. Her hair is dyed in different places. The buttons on her clothes are in different places.
It might be a face shot or a profile.
Face shot, profile.
Like that,
We had different versions of Mjolnir. Remember that?
Yep.
We had different kind of like through the years. Ken is, and essentially here's another one. This is Elektra #1, signed and remarked by Ken Haeser. It's a nice full color sketch, actually.
So Elektra #1, signed and remarked by Ken Haeser with a full color Elektra sketch. We have it at $81.81 tonight, and we only have one available.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Yeah, a full color Elektra.
Yeah, I mean, this is a full color. The side eye, you know what I mean? This is sort of, Elektra's one of these characters for me personally that captures a moment in time. You know what I mean? Miller is working on
Miller. Yeah.
He's turning Daredevil into, what Daredevil becomes.
Right.
I mean, let's be honest. Before that, Daredevil was just a guy in a suit fighting crime.
It was rather goofy.
Miller jumps into that book, and all of a sudden Daredevil becomes, there's this entire world of, assassins and, like an underworld, but in a literal sense.
I'm a big Elektra fan, and we were talking about when are we going to get a good Fantastic Four movie. How about when we're going to get a good Elektra movie? How about
Thank
that?
you.
Can we get a good
Thank
Elektra?
you. I had nothing against Jennifer Garner, but I mean,
no, that was not a good movie.
No,
I'm fine saying that. That was not a good movie, and I was hoping when Netflix did Daredevil, we would sort of get a marketable, to put it nicely, a marketable Elektra character, which could be lifted out of that, possibly put in a movie, put in her own series. And while the actress who played Elektra did an okay job, we didn't really get that sort of cry for, we want Elektra, we want Elektra.
I think they missed the mark on Elektra in the show. And I like the Daredevil show, the Netflix show, but I feel like they missed the mark on Elektra. There is something so special about that Frank Miller Elektra. Yeah. And Zdarsky's doing good work with her right now, but like another one of my favorite Marvel characters, Elektra, just fantastic, mysterious, just competent, filled with agency, and just such a great character that's never, I think, been properly done on the small or the big
character.
A very complex
character. So what do you got there, buddy?
This is
Batman Fortnite.
Batman Fortnite 0.1. This is Elite Gold Signature Series. This is Christos Gage. Incidentally, a really nice creator to run into in Artist Alley.
So Batman Fortnite 0.1 Elite Gold Signature Series, signed by Christos Gage. Suggested retail of $89.99, and this is our other 5-star at $50 tonight, and we only have one available at this price.
Let's be honest. When the Batman Fortnite thing hit, who's on social media, I don't care if you're in high school, I don't care if you're in a retirement home, everybody heard about it, everybody was talking about it, everybody was excited about it, this whole thing of these online gaming universes, and now Marvel characters, DC characters can just sort of drop in. I'm going to assume that the publisher Dynamite is working to get Dynamite characters into these online game worlds.
I don't know. Just harass them after the show like you always do, and you'll find out.
The Nick escape hatch. Gotta go back, click.
You know what? One of the things that this Batman Fortnite book did for people, at least at my shop, it brought people into my store that had never been in a comic shop before. Like, just to see the level of popularity that Fortnite has, and they have the code in there, but just the idea of so many people came in and were exposed to the ideas of comic book shops and this world of collectibles and comics and stuff. So more stuff like this should happen, I think.
And I think this is the big thing that, when you have that kind of crossover, said JD, I hope to see Vampirella in the next Super Mario Brothers.
That's going to be in Vampyverse, I think, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So when you have those crossovers, you bring in people, whether it be at your shop or just in general, it brings in a whole new kind of collector that you, as you say, had never actually visited a comic book store or whatever the case may be.
This reminds me of a bigger, better time with World of Warcraft. World of Warcraft came out and it pushed people into comic stores and stores they hadn't been to before, looking for figures, looking for, all the accessories to World of Warcraft. Before that, you had Warhammer and board games. I have a ton of friends that started with miniatures. And the next thing you know, they're reading Spider-Man, they're reading Captain America, they're reading Iron Man. There's always something that will bring new fans to retailers for comics. And I think this Fortnite thing has probably been the most successful version of that. I mean, World of Warcraft was good, but there were people literally trying to pull the doors down of their comic book store.
So what do you got there?
This is, and we love these to death. One of my favorite artists, J. Scott Campbell. This is Avengers Volume 5, number 24. This is the Midtown Comics exclusive.
The snowball fight, right? Yeah.
And I love this thing. This is just sort of this is one of these comics that makes you smile. I don't care what your story is. You look at the characters, look at the cover, you're smiling.
So Avengers Volume 5, number 24, Midtown exclusive, J. Scott Campbell variant cover. And we have this one and we only have one available at this price for $19.63, the year Avengers first appeared.
Nice.
This is one of these things, again, just throw it out there and mention, if you are looking for something, collectible and unique, the Midtown variants don't travel well. I'll put it that way. They don't travel well. If you're in Phoenix, it's way harder to find one than if you're in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
It just, you know what I mean? Just like I'm sure if there was a comic store somewhere, like the Comic-Con variants, the San Diego Comic-Con variants, when they're on sale, down in Baltimore, they're pretty pricey.
Yeah.
And I know I've seen them for, better prices.
And I think this is the last one of the night.
I think this is our last book. Maybe I don't know if we'll have time to do a little recap or not. This is Deadpool 25th anniversary, number 7, Silver Signature Series, signed by Fabian Nicieza,
co-creator of Deadpool.
Creator of Deadpool.
So we have Deadpool number 7, 25th anniversary variant, Silver Signature Series edition, signed by Fabian Nicieza, co-creator of Deadpool. For suggested retail of $69.99. Tonight we have it for $50, and we actually have 2.
Wow.
At this price. So to get Deadpool signed by one of the co-creators.
Only 25 copies of this. So.
Yeah, and only 25 copies ever signed. So. And I think we covered everything, didn't we?
I think we're almost out of time. I want to thank Robbie for joining us
Absolutely.
again. I mean, I got to believe this is not the best 2 hours of his day, but thank you for joining us, sir.
Hey,
actually, I mean, it's a pretty nice 2 hours. I'll be honest, but now.
Yeah, he can speak for himself.
No, we're glad to have you, bud. We really are.
Thank you.
I love hanging out with you all.
Rock and Robbie over Pop Culture Philosophers. JD, if you can, before we bolt out of here, if you could throw his the link to his YouTube channel.
He gives a lot of context to some of the things that are part of the culture that maybe you need a little sort of context for. That's sort of
But he has great videos on his channel. Very informative, and obviously you can tell 2 hours with us. Great guy, and my buddy John. As always,
thanks everyone for joining us. We'll be back Wednesday. We'll be back Wednesday. Comic Store. So
Robbie, we'll see you soon. On the next show.
Thanks everybody. JD, take us out of here.